The Mystara project is proud to present Part 6 of the Places of Mystara series. In this episode, we shall look at the fabled Alphatian city of Aasla. Aasla was first introduced in the map of the Alphatian Sea region, in the module M1, Into the Maelstrom, published in 1985. The city was founded not long after the Alphatians made landfall on Mystara in year 0 of the Alphatian calendar, referred to as AY0. This is the equivalent of BC 1000 in the Phaeacian calendar. A common Alphatian magic user called Aasla resented Emperor Kerathar I's favoritism of pure Alphatians. So she led like-minded common Alphatians westwards to set up a new colony away from the imperial capital of Sundsvall. She found a suitable spot beyond the Alphas River, overlooking a scenic gulf. Aasla built her tower in the settlement named after her. Queen Aasla of Haven promoted the magical arts, beauty and painting as desirable pursuits for her subjects. She believed these pursuits were best achieved in times of peace, advocating against the Alphatian peoples expanding on this new world through war. Aasla then embarked on the path of the Paragon, sponsored by Razud. Before AY200, Aasla had transformed her kingdom and her capital city into a place of beauty, peace and artists, supported by new spells. She met all the other criteria of her path and ascended as the immortal Alphatia. A temple with clerics dedicated to the immortal Alphatia was built in Aasla. Aasla became the most important seaport in the Alphatian Empire. Foreign traders from the Empire of Nithia were frequent visitors in the early centuries. The destruction of Nithia in AY500 reduced trade in the short term, until Alphatia more or less took control of the Isle of Dawn. However, around AY750, Phaeacian pirates began disrupting shipping in the northeastern Sea of Dread and the western Sea of Dawn. The Alphatian imperial house of Kerathar legalized the addictive Zazonga trade, sometime after AY500, so that it could be taxed. By AY800 during the reign of Kerathar IV, Zazonga had spread throughout the empire. Aasla was no exception. The addictive fruit was being sold in all sorts of food and beverage formats. It was taking a toll on the empire, as productivity declined. In AY1000, the Alphatian Empire was in shock after being defeated by the barbarian Phaeacians. This was their first real defeat on Mystara. The immortal Alphatia's pacifist philosophy starts to wane, even in Aasla. The empire began a period of rebuilding to deal with this new threat. In AY1250, Alphatia conquers the former Nithian city of Suramanra and sets up a colony there. Precious metals extracted from the region are shipped to Aasla where there is high demand. Several hundred years ago, around AY1300, an adventuring magic user founded the Kingdom of Stonewall in southwestern Alphatia, where his non-magic user companions could live under fairer laws. Non-arcane spellcasters from all over Alphatia, including Aasla, flocked to this new kingdom. Around AY1400, Ostland raiders disrupt shipping in the northern part of the western Sea of Dawn. In AY1401, lycanthropy spreads throughout the continent of Alphatia, including Aasla. By AY1406, the newly created Alphatian Center for Disease Control had restricted lycanthropy to 7 main types. During the summer of AY1497, 500 imperial ships of the Alphatian Navy sail out of the Arslan Gulf and head for Norwald's Great Bay. This act breaks their truce with the Nation of Dragons. Jerdar, the leader of the Chaotic Dragons, commands a force of 1,000 dragons that fly from the highlands to Norwald and destroy the Alphatian fleet. This setback starts many citizens of Aasla to question aggressive imperial policies. In the spring of AY1498, naval ships in Aasla and other major ports of the known world are attacked by gemstone dragons, under the mind control of the Overlord. Either in AY1663, according to the Poor Wizard's Almanac, or in AY1684, according to Dawn of the Emperors, Myla Tendal was born in Aasla. Between AY1700 and AY1730, Myla Tendal begins promoting the arts, beautification and a return to the complete reliance on magic use, as an alternative to imperial power politics. She is charismatic and her philosophy gains widespread support throughout the empire. In AY 1900, Myla Tyndall secretly embarked on the path of the Paragon, sponsored by Alphatia. Between AY 1923 and AY 1952, Minean pirates known as Yodar's Seawolves plague eastern Alphatian shipping. In AY 1939, Eichlin is born in Aasla. Sometime before AY 2000, he moved to Featherfall on the island of Area in the Alatian archipelago. Eventually, he became master of the University of Air Magics in Featherfall. In AY 1950, Alphatia invites dwarfs, gnomes, and Hin from Brune to settle in the southern Kerethar Mountains, to supply mastercrafts to the Alphatian people. Dwarfs from Dengar, gnomes from all over Brune and Hin from the Shires and Lehar founded the city of Denwarf Hergen in the southern Kerethar Mountains. The autonomous kingdom of Stoutfellow is formed to the north of Haven. Gems and common metals start to flow from the mines of Stoutfellow, through the port of Aasla. Minrothadan traders are especially interested in buying these goods. In AY 1954, Toriath, a pure Alphatian, is born. He later became a brigand. His hair color and deeds earning him the epithet, the Black. He was eventually captured and convicted of crimes against Arslan merchants. He was sentenced to become a galley slave, but escaped his prison ship and fled to one of the Yanivy Islands prior to AY 2000. In AY 959, Thyatis broke a trade treaty with Alphatia, sparking the War of the Alphatian Spike. Arslan pacifists condemn the war and harbor some Thyacians in Aasla at this time from imperial authorities. By spring of the next year, the Alphatians were stunned once again, as Thyatis won the war after being on the precipice of defeat. That is the history of the city of Aasla. The current date is the 1st of Nixmir, AY 1999. The city of Aasla is the capital of the Kingdom of Haven. The city is situated roughly in the center of this A-shaped realm. Haven is ruled by Queen Crindilia, a 36th-level cleric of Kagyar the Artisan. She resides in a castle 50 miles north of the city. She uses a disguise spell to take on the appearance of a younger woman of Nuari ancestry. Queen Crindilia owes fealty to the Empire of Alphatia. The Kingdom of Haven is moderately to the west of the center of the empire. Aasla is located approximately 54 degrees north of the equator and about 1 degree west of the Sundsvall meridian. Its latitude would be the equivalent of real-world northern England. However, it enjoys a sunny, temperate climate due to protection from the northern cold by the Kerethar and Arslan Spur Mountains. Temperatures range from 35 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Summer is the driest season, only raining once every 5 days. In winter, it rains every 3 or 4 days. The rest of the year it rains every 2 or 3 days. Fog is most prevalent on spring nights, occurring every 3rd night. The predominant wind blows from the southwest, so Aasla and its harbor remain somewhat protected. Although it is situated on the Arslan Gulf, the city's average altitude is 300 feet above sea level. With its northern latitude, Aasla enjoys short summer nights, but its winter nights are long, restricting some activities, like travel. For lunatics, like lycanthropes and clerics of Asterius, here are the moon appearances for the city of Aasla. Like the rest of the empire, the people of Aasla have the benefit of recorded history prior to the founding of their city. So, their understanding of history is more based on fact than myth and legend. The vast majority of Arslans are common Alphatians. Their skin tone ranges from golden brown to coppery brown. They have almond-shaped eyes of brown, gold, amber, hazel, or green. Their hair color ranges from golden to brown, with many redheads. They tend to be taller and more slender than the average human. There are a few pure Alphatians in Aasla. They have very pale skin with blue tints, black hair, and are taller and more slender than the average human. Their eye color can be black, blue, and sometimes purple. Some Hin and dwarfs from the Kingdom of Stoutfellow and Shire elves reside in Aasla, mostly connected with the armed forces. There are many foreigners from seafaring nations that have their own collective city quarter next to the harbor. Minrothadan humans and water elves, Earendians, Thyacians, Oostlanders, Vestlanders, Oceansendians, Alasians, Traladerans, and Darakinians. Other playable species are generally not found in Aasla. Lycanthropes and gnomes would be the most common exceptions. Rakasta, lupins, puka, and she could be accommodated if necessary. Slaves are the lowest social class in Aasla. Player characters will never start as slaves. The class is hereditary. Commoners can be sentenced to be their victim's slave for being found guilty of insolence to a noble of prince rank or higher, rape of a noble, or theft of more than the value of 1000 GP. Noble magic users and elves can only be made slaves if found guilty of raping or murdering a noble, or treason. They are then feeble-minded, so they are unable to cast magic, which is a slavery requirement. If the victim was another slave or a servant, ownership of the slave is awarded to their superior. The offspring of slaves are recorded, as such, with a government registry office. Each slave's market value is nominated by their owner and recorded. The value can be periodically changed by the owner. The owner must pay an annual tax based on the value of their slaves. Nobles may legally kill any slave, with the only consequence being payment of the slave's market value to their owner. Slaves cannot own property, must be unable to cast magic, and cannot touch any weapon without their owner's permission or to defend their owner. Ranking above slaves are servants. Servants have no magical ability and do not operate a registered business. Servants must belong to, and serve, a household of someone of freeman status or higher. Servants may own personal property, but not land or slaves. Servants are free to move to another household if accepted by the new household's owner. At a minimum, servants receive room and board for their service. Some servants also receive a salary, which may allow them to save up enough to start their business. Examples of servants are farmers working for the farm owner, household staff, soldiers of less than commissioned officer rank, shop workers and adventurers who don't own a registered business. Freemen have no magical ability, but operate a registered business. Registered businesses are required to pay an annual registration fee to the empire. Freemen can live in their own household, own property, and employ servants. Adventurers and commissioned military officers often open small offices for mercenary hire or recruitment, as their registered businesses to maintain freeman status. Loss of all registered businesses relegates freemen to servant status. The top social rank of commoners is the gentry. Like all commoners, they have no magical ability. In addition to operating at least one registered business, gentry must maintain at least 10,000 GP in an Alphatian bank. They may own a branch of a registered business or a registered business with multiple branches. First-level clerics who are part of an order, but cannot yet cast magic, are treated as gentry. Gentry are often permitted to mix with nobles at social events. Nobles all have the ability to cast magic and are subject to a more lenient set of laws and punishments than commoners. The lowest rank of nobility is the aristocrat. The only requirement for this rank is the ability to cast magic. Aristocrats have the right to wear spider silk and the right to attend imperial universities. Commoners address aristocrats as my lord or my lady. Lords and ladies are nobles who maintain at least 10,000 GP in an Alphatian bank and satisfy one more element. They must either own a registered business, provide a service, or occupy an imperial office. Examples of imperial offices include ministers, ambassadors, advisors, and military officers. Commoners must refer to them as lord or lady. The next rank of nobility comprises the princes and princesses. They are the sons and daughters of emperors, empresses, kings, and queens. Commoners must address them by title. Nobles usually only address them by title if it seems they are destined to rule. This subjective judgment may lead to a charge of insolence against the noble by the offended prince or princess. Additionally, having no magical ability does not rule princes and princesses out of ruling dominions outside of the continents of Alphatia and Belisaria. It is unknown if Queen Crindilia of Haven has any children. If she does, they would be aged between 25 and 50 years old in AY 2000. The nobles of Aasla predominantly follow the philosophies of the immortal Alphatia, echoed in the teachings of Myla Tendel. The combination of art and magic produces beauty. Peace avoids the distraction of war to the pursuit of magical arts. All spellcasters should be respected, not just pure Alphatians. Aasla is the beating heart of the beautiful kingdom of Haven, and haven is the best place on Mystara where artists can thrive. Commoners in Aasla are more interested in trade and travel. Boasting the busiest port in the empire and perhaps second busiest only to Thyatys city, fortunes can be made for the merchants of Aasla and associated industries. The city of Aasla is split into 5 main districts. The foreign quarter is next to the docks. The old town is wedged between the foreign quarter and the new city. The municipal square occupies the center of the city. Lying outside the walls to the southwest is the cemetery. Aasla is an A-class major port. There is a 98% chance of finding an accurate sea chart for any area within 500 miles of Aasla being available for sale, costing between 2 to 40 GP. There is even an 8% chance of finding a reliable chart for an area 5,000 miles from Aasla, for a price between 3 and 62 GP. It can accommodate the largest of ship sizes and has capacity to harbor over 10,000 hull points of vessels. Entry to the port costs 20 GP. As the port is so busy, pilots are often hired to assist docking, at costs ranging from 13 GP to 78 GP. Large ships with more than 180 hull points are required to be towed to dock for a cost of 13 SP for every 10 hull points. Mooring in a dock costs 15 SP per hull point per day. Simply anchoring in the harbor and relying on rowboats costs 75 SP per day. Each dock worker costs 15 CP per hour. Custom agents board from 1 to 20 hours after a ship docks or anchors. They charge customs duty of around 11% of the cargo's assessed value. Dry docks cost 22 GP per 10 hull points per week. Aasla Harbour falls under the jurisdiction of the harbourmaster. Up to 57 Alphatian warships and 12 submersibles are docked in a section of the harbour. The foreign quarter accommodates seafarers, traders, and their associates from seafaring states all over the known world. This exciting city is a popular destination for ship crews to experience. Local manufacturing businesses and their warehouses can also be found here, like smiths, buckle makers, bookbinders, cabinet makers, coopers, glove makers, harness makers, hat makers, rope makers, weavers, scabbard makers, cobblers, tanners and woodcarvers. Most of the city's business owners live here, close to their work. Foreign trade and diplomatic manners can be found here as well. The municipal square contains the majority of the city's government palaces. It contains prestigious banks for the wealthy to deposit their valuables. Old Town is relatively a poorer district, but visitors to Aasla may see it as quaintly charming and remarkably serviced by 7 clerical hospitals. It is a local law that everyone be very polite in this district. Crime thrives throughout the narrow alleys of the Old Town. Its Red Lantern area features seedy hostels, cheap taverns, bawdy houses, and gambling dens. Many have suddenly fallen into debt here, destined to serve on a foreign ship in distant waters. The new city district was built by wizards over the past 4 or so centuries to primarily honor art. It features over 100 shrines and temple complexes devoted to beauty. The district is blessed with magnificent parks. 24 mausoleums of prominent noble families have been erected in the new city. Residents have the choice of 15 theaters to attend. The city's only large arena is located in this district. It hosts at least 1 wizard duel per day and weekly hardball games. At the center of the district stands the Tower of Mylotendel and a number of private palaces owned by the city's nobility. The cemetery and 10 abbeys lie outside the city walls. As Alphatian law and culture discriminate between spellcasters and non-spellcasters, some character classes will be easier to play in Aasla. Additionally, some ancestries are more favored than others. Clerics are not as respected in Alphatia as they are in most of the realms across the Sea of Dawn, like Oostland, the Emirates, and the Heldanic Order. Most Alphatian clerics are children of nobles, who have been unable to learn arcane magic. Joining a clerical order automatically qualifies them as gentry. Once they reach 2nd level and can cast spells, they qualify as aristocrats. Alphatia, patroness of magic, the arts and peace, is the most popular immortal in Aasla. However, her order does not accept chaotic clerics, a common Alphatian alignment. Clerics of Alphatia are extra aware of magical attacks, gaining +2 to save against rods, staves, and spells. The next most popular following in Aasla is of the original Cypri immortal, Razud. He is the patron of self-reliance. His order accepts clerics of any alignment. Clerics who follow his philosophy of self-reliance gain +1 to wisdom to a maximum of 18 and +1 to initiative. Kor-Yis, patron of peace and prosperity, is the next most popular immortal. His philosophy resonates with the pacifist artists and the fortune-seeking aspirants. Clerics of Kor-Yis gain a bonus spell, Protection from Evil, which they are permitted to cast at first level. Unlike other clerics, this allows them to qualify as an aristocrat upon entering the order. Fighters must start their adventuring careers as servants. This might restrict their adventuring options, as they will have commitments to fulfill to the head of their household. Perhaps they have sufficient spare time and energy for an adventure that takes less than a day. Alternatively, the head of their household could send them on an adventure of importance to the household, or as a favor to a friend. A fighter who can accumulate 1,800 GP may choose to register a business, such as a guard or sword for hire, and rent a commercial tenancy. The annual registration fee is 300 GP and the minimum annual cost for the smallest available tenancy is 1,200 GP. Once the registered business is operational, the fighter qualifies as a freeman and can live independently as long as the annual business costs are paid. Fighters can then aim to become gentry by accumulating at least 10,000 GP in an Alphatian bank. The only way to progress to nobility in Aasla is by becoming a paladin or avenger, who can cast clerical spells at 9th level. Thief character's progression in Aasla is the same as just mentioned for fighters in all respects, except they don't have the option of changing to a spellcasting class at a higher level. Note that casting magic from scrolls or magic items does not count as being able to cast spells in Alphatia. So, thieves based in Aasla cannot advance beyond gentry status. There are no thieves guilds in Aasla due to widespread magic use that has been capable of countering organized crime. So thief characters will need to have a more experienced partner. Ideally, the head of their household could be their partner, training them in the arts and expecting them to carry out jobs that lead to adventures. Magic user is the most favored character class in Aasla and the Empire's heartland. They commence their adventuring career as aristocrats. Even someone born into slavery will be elevated to nobility once they are old enough to cast spells. There are no shortage of magic tutors in Aasla. Formal education at Aasla University or Ariadna High are also options. Alphatian magic users have access to a wider range of spells than the standard 108 common spells. In Aasla, popular spells include Bleach, Color, Tattoo, Phantasmal Force, Fabricate, Disguise, Stonewall and Ironwall. To progress to the rank of Lord or Lady, they must maintain at least 10,000 GP in an Alphatian bank and either own a business, provide a service or hold an imperial office. A magic user unrelated to Queen Crindilia of Haven is ineligible to succeed her. Likewise, being unrelated to Empress Ariadna of Alphatia rules out inheriting the imperial throne. Upon reaching 36th level, a magic user is eligible for a position on the Imperial Grand Council of Wizards, at the Council's invitation, which may never be forthcoming. Elves have the same progression as magic users in Aasla, except they are ineligible to hold the title of Emperor or Empress, as that is reserved for humans. Alphatian elves are of the Shia clan, generally shunning human settlements, let alone a teeming metropolis such as Aasla with its population of 400,000. An elven adventurer in Aasla would have to have a very specific reason for being there. Some serve in the military as longbowyists. Dwarfs, halflings, and gnomes have only been living on the continent of Alphatia, in the kingdom of Stoutfellow for 5 decades. Stoutfellow lies to the north of Haven, so Aasla is not that far from the mountainous home of these demi-humans. As Aasla also offers many mercantile opportunities, it is likely that some of these demi-humans can be found in the city. Indeed, 8% of the military are Hin and 3% are dwarfs. Dwarven adventurers start as freemen, as their parents financed a small starting business for them. They cannot progress beyond gentry. Note that dwarf clerics are very secretive about their spellcasting, so they are not treated as nobles. Like fighters and thieves, Hin and gnomes start as servants. Hin are capped at gentry, unless the DM wants to rule that the Hin masterclass is available outside the 5 Shires, to allow Hin to achieve nobility. Gnomes are capable of becoming Wakani or shamans, once they gain a level of experience and pass the ritual of passage. Wakani are then treated in the same manner as elves, and shamans are treated in the same manner as clerics. Mystic cloisters do not fit within the Alphatian social structure. A mystic cloister would have to exist secretly or compromise their not-for-profit principles by registering as a business, to operate on the continents of Alphatia or Belisaria. Anecdotally, it could be concluded that there are no mystic cloisters on the continents of Alphatia or Belisaria. Spellcasting Minrothadan merchant princes and Daracinian merchants would be treated like magic users in Alphatia. Alphatian is the common tongue spoken in Aasla. Alphatians who have never traveled outside the empire do not tolerate having any other language spoken to them. Many tongues are spoken in the foreign quarter: Thyacian, Heldanic, Minrothadan Patois, Alacian, Elvish, Dwarvish, Gnomish, Traladaran, Gennite, Thocian and Daracinian. Concerning the selection of general skills, artisan, based on intelligence, is a very common skill among the residents of Aasla. A specific field of artisan must be selected for each skill choice. Demand and supply for weapons and armor is within the average range, so characters can readily buy them at standard prices. Shield weapons, being Thyacian, may only be available in the foreign quarter. Shields, leather armor, chainmail armor, swords, spears, lances, short swords, longbows and slings are favored by Arslan fighters. Magic users opt for daggers and staves. Elves favor chainmail, swords, and longbows. Hin prefer short bows. There are many lucrative trade opportunities in Aasla for bold seafaring merchants. Gems cut by stout fellow dwarfs and gnomes are in plentiful supply and can be bought at significant discounts in Aasla. Merchants can then sail to Newkirk, Thyatis City and Minrathad City, where they are in demand. Aasla is equally oversupplied in spices. Traders can buy low here, then sail to Jabor, Thyatis City, Harbour Town and Gaptun, to sell high. Common metals from Stout Fellow and the Aasla Spur Mountains flow into Aasla, causing moderate oversupply. Merchants are able to buy them below normal market prices, and then ship them to Stronghold. As the waters of the Dread Isles are plagued by fog, this trade option is usually only undertaken by Minrothadan merchants. Glassware is also in oversupply in Aasla. Merchants buying it here can then ship it to Dunnerdale and Tamaranikas where there is above average demand. Curiously, ivory is also in oversupply in Aasla. Elephants, narwhals and walruses are not known to be found in the vicinity of Aasla. Perhaps magic is involved in Aasla's ivory supply. It can be bought slightly below market value here and then sold to areas of high demand, like Dunnerdale and Alpha. Excess stock could be shipped to Norvik and Kobos where demand is moderately high. Aasla has an acute shortage of precious metals for their arts and beautification works. Traders are able to source precious metals in Suramanra, can make a sizable profit in Aasla. Monsters are also in high demand in Aasla for magical research, item creation, and pets. Traders can source monsters cheaply in Dunnerdale and make the trip across the eastern sea of Dawn and Arslan Gulf for a profitable sale in Aasla. Common silks are in high demand in Aasla by gentry and affluent freemen, as the next best quality clothing material to spider silk, which they are not permitted to wear. Traders can buy common silk at below market value in Norvik, for resale in Aasla. Rare books are also in high demand from Aasla's wizards. Merchants may be able to source rare books at reasonable prices in Suramanra and Ocean's End. Fish are also in fairly high demand in Aasla, despite having its own fishing industry. Zeeburg sells preserved fish at below market prices that merchants can source if they can tolerate the locals' crude hospitality. Otherwise, this is a lucrative trade for Oostlanders who might also partake in some piracy along the voyage. A wide variety of food and beverages are consumed in Aasla. The nobles prefer light portions of a variety of delicacies, artistically presented. Thin cold cuts of venison and beef in the shape of flowers, pâtés, appetizers, sauces, fine wines from Randall and exotic liqueurs. Aristocrats on a budget, gentry and freemen consume more conventionally. Meals consist of breads, corn, vegetables, fruits, venison, beef, fish and mutton. Servants and slaves are allocated food by the household head. Stews and soups are staple meals. Leftovers comprising bread, a few vegetables and an occasional meat gobbet are provided. There are at least 47 trade guilds in Aasla, the three largest being cobblers, tailors and bakers. Guilds led by magic users tend to have some influence, whilst those that don't are usually fairly ineffective. Aasla celebrates the standard Alphatian imperial dates of importance, plus the Haven Art Pageant, which rewards the best artists with riches and magic. The first of Alphamere is New Year's Day. The streets of Aasla are filled with art demonstrations, parades and celebrations. New Year's Day celebrations usually continue for a week, culminating on the 7th of Alphamere with Landfall Day. This day marks the anniversary of the Alphatians first arriving on Mystara. It is observed with solemn feasts in memory of those who did not survive the journey. On Alphamere 15, the University of Aasla, Ariadna High and other schools open after a 3-month winter break. Sulamere the 13th is Empress Ariadna of Alphatia's birthday. Nobles and gentry donate coins to the less fortunate. Sudmere the 15th is Howling Day. The full moon is celebrated with reckless abandon by all non-slaves. Arslans run amok and howl at the moon. Romantic gestures similar to real-world Valentine's Day are common. The week of Islamere the 15th to the 21st, during high summer, is known as Doggerel Days. Theatre companies and scholarly guilds stage competitions of music and verbal arts, such as plays, comedy and reciting poetry. Arslans save up their worst puns, jokes, poetry and anecdotes to make audiences cringe in these competitions. Hastmere the 8th to the 15th is the Wine Festival. It is mainly celebrated by commoners drinking wine all week, but a number of nobles also participate. The arrival of winter on Berrimere the 15th is known as Closing Day. The University of Aasla, Ariadna High and other schools close for the winter. Minor feasts are held to mark the seasonal change. Amphimere the 28th is known as the Extra Day, after the year ends on the 27th. On this day, magic fails throughout the Alphatian Empire. Magical barriers fall, imprisoned beings break free, wizards stay indoors, cowering behind loyal commoners where possible. The first of Cyprimere is Ancestors' Day. Arslans visit the graves of their ancestors and invite them to join them for the day. Extra chairs are set at dinner tables for the ancestors. Songs and stories for the ancestors are shared. At midnight, doors are opened to usher the ghosts outside. Let's now hear from 4 people about their views on Aasla. First up, Oldbuck Deepdell the Woodcutter tells his tale to the patrons of the Dancing Orc Tavern in Fishtickle Bridge, Hertshire, in the 5 Shires.
Me brother said there were loads of different nationalities in Aaslar's foreign quarter. Minrothadans, Water Elves, Heldanic peoples, Erendians, Phaeacians, Elasians, Traladarans and Darakinians. In other parts of the city were the Alphatians, mostly medium to dark brown complexions. All spellcasters they were. There were also some of our cousins, plus dwarfs and gnomes who were considered Alphatians. The Alphatians treated me brother like a slave. They refused to converse in any language other than Alphatian. He reckons they talk about individual freedom of thought, but that's only for the nobles. The commoners are treated only slightly better than livestock. They are all artists and have flying ships. The city is massive with hundreds of thousands living there. And it's all painted in rainbow colors with artwork everywhere. Lots of ships coming and going in the harbor. Towers and palaces throughout the city. There is a university for magic users where they learn spells that assist their art. How to get rich and famous, become a songwriter and sing in the taverns. Be good and then sing in the theaters. Here's me hot tip, stick to the foreign quarter and seek work from non-Alphatians.
Next, we shall hear from the Minrothadan factor based in Aasla, Iluko Manray, a water elf.
The Minrathad guilds combine caravan travels from Aasla to Sundsvarl. It'd be cheaper than trying to go via Archport. Auslans are not as reverent to the immortals as the rest of the world. Their nobility be like pacifist mostly, and see the art of war as a last resort. But Aasla be well defended with artillery, war mages, elven longbowers, ships and skyships. Steer clear of the old town. Many a foreigner be disappearin' in the dark alleyways there. The foreign quarter has almost anything for sale that you could wish for. How to get rich and famous. Aasla be like very pro-business and very pro-trade. Set up a business hiring out your services, save as much as you can and deposit it in one of them banks. My hot tip, be careful like with your thoughts. A lot of Alphatian nobles be having a permanent ESP ability. So, if you have a thief companion, tell them to best behave.
Vidalion the barber, an Arslan commoner, now shares his thoughts on his home city.
Watch out! Anyone could be a powerful spellcaster. Don't say pure Alphatians are better at magic. Spellcasters must be respected. They can kill non-spellcasters for any reason and only have to pay compensation to the victim's master. Aasla is the world's most beautiful city, filled with murals, paintings, statues, palaces, theaters, and towers. The Tower of Mylotendel is one of the wonders of the world. How to get rich and famous. Start up a beautiful business, darlings. Hot tips. Study magic or become a cleric. Beware, many nobles use magic to make themselves appear much younger or even to resemble a different ancestry. Yes, my good friends, call it silly if you wish, shrug if you must, but such is Aasla, and the world loves it.
Finally, we shall hear from the city's most famous resident herself, Mylotendel, as she welcomes a new intake of boarders to the university.
There are two types of people in Aasla, those that can cast magic and those that can't. You, my new students, are fortunate to be the former. Aslans who can afford to run a business and save at least 10,000 GP are held in higher regard than those that don't. Nobles follow the principles of our great lady Alphatia. Art, magic, peace and beauty are all interrelated worthy pursuits. Aslans tend to be more charitable than other places in Alphatia. We have 7 hospitals providing care. This huge city offers so much: beautiful views of the Gulf, endless shops and cultures in the foreign quarter, over 500 beautiful palaces and manors, a library and 15 gorgeous theaters. How to get rich and famous. Study magic and art, then create. My hot tips. Learn spells like color, bleach, stone form and iron form in conjunction with artisan skills. Beware of clerics using daggers or being able to pick pockets.
Human Arslan nobles can live up to 600 years through the use of at least 50 potions of longevity. Human Arslan nobles typically look much younger than their real age. Testing for human arcane magical ability commences around age 14. If arcane magic capability is shown, the child is educated in magic from age 14 to 16. Elves become adolescent at age 20, young adults at 100, adults at 200, middle-aged at 500, and elderly at 600. Dwarfs become youths at age 20, adults at 50, seniors at 100, and venerable at 150. Hin become adolescent around 30, adults around 35, middle-aged around 100, and seniors around 120. Alphatia is very pro-adventurers. Any treasure gained through adventuring is exempt from the usual 15% income tax. However, payments received from sponsors for undertaking and/or completing a mission are not exempt. The city has its own anthem, O shining Aasla, crown of the sea, where towers of crystal rise proud and free. Your harbor opens to every shore, a beacon of wonder forevermore. Aasla, Aasla, haven's heartbeat, guardian of beauty, your vigil we keep. With magic and mercy, with wisdom we stand. Our hearts are your harbor, our oath is your land. From foreign sails the world is drawn, to streets where art and song live on. Peace is our banner, love is our flame. The world finds a home in Aasla's name. Aasla, Aasla, haven's heartbeat, guardian of beauty, your vigil we keep. With magic and mercy, with wisdom we stand. Our hearts are your harbor, our oath is your land. When moonlight crowns the gulf with light, your mage-born wonders gleam through night. Forever we sing, forever we pray, for Aasla's grace shall guide the way. Aasla, Aasla, haven's heartbeat, guardian of beauty, your vigil we keep. O city eternal, O jewel of the sea, our love and our magic are thine, endlessly. The city of Aasla ultimately belongs to the Empire of Alphatia. The empire is currently ruled by Empress Ariadna the Wise, with oversight from the Imperial Grand Council. As Aasla is the Empire's most important seaport, its third largest city and the home of the Imperial Skyship Navy, Imperial interest in the city is very high. Imperial troops are stationed in the citadel in the city's military district. Imperial officials with associated agents collect Imperial taxes, run Imperial registries and keep tabs on any anti-Imperial threats. Aasla lies within the Kingdom of Haven, which is ruled by Queen Crindilia. As she is a cleric of Cagyar the Artisan, and not the immortal Alphatia, it may be she is not a descendant of the founder, Queen Aasla of Haven. As Crindilia does not live in the city, she would likely appoint one of her trusted and spellcasting relatives to rule the city. Whatever title this relative is given, will only be recognized as Lord or Lady by the Imperium, as Crindilia can revoke it at will. The political hierarchy in Alphatia is a bit loose, which is befitting of the prevailing chaotic alignment of the nobility. A city the size of Aasla probably has at least 50 Imperial Grand Council members, who may be present at different times of the year to exert their influence on the city's politics. There would also be at least 350 lords and ladies in the city who likewise could exert some influence in the political arena. There is a significant imperial bureaucracy occupying the municipal square district of the city. A notable building in this district is the Imperial Registry Office. Business registration costs 300 GP per annum. For slave registration, owners must declare a value per slave, which is then taxed at 15% of that value per annum. A declared value can be changed at any time the slave is alive. Some declare nominal values to reduce tax and take the risk that the slave will not be killed. Others declare inflated values and can profit from their slaves' deaths from murderers who are caught, convicted, and pay up. Aaslan policy is to maintain peace so magic can thrive, allowing the channeling of magic toward art and beautification of the land, to avoid war, which distracts from magical studies. Soonsval and Thranduil are distrusted, as they are part of the imperial house. This is an historic distrust, dating from the time of Kerathar I. Arroganza is disliked as pure Alphatian snobs. Randall is disliked as warmongers. Friesland is viewed as barbaric and backward. Stoutfellow has skilled artisans, common metals and gem supplies, so close relations are desirable. Blackheart is considered evil. Amber has an appreciation of theatre, so perhaps a healthy rivalry exists. Greenspur is somewhat dull, but keeps the Arslan Gulf safe. Stonewall is seen as dull and unimaginative. Kiadhar is full of barbaric Vikings. Trikelios is a city of rival shipbuilders. Edrin's city of Archport has a larger port by area, but is not as popular as Aasla. Dunnerdale, the Emirates and Minrathad are important trade partners. Thyatis is stubborn and barbaric. Thoshar is civilized, but in decline. Norwold is backwards, but is an important trade partner. Oostland are Viking pirates, but offer some trade opportunities. Vestland are improving Vikings, offering some trade. Earendi offers some trade. The Heldanic Knights are dogmatic magic user persecutors. Belisaria is a bit backwards and very rural. Internally, nobles are respected. Commoners and foreigners are treated better than the average Alphatian heartland kingdom. Indeed, the huge foreign quarter and trade reliance plays a part in Aasla's attitude to non-Alphatians. Entropic cults are illegal. Spies abound. Tuan from Soonsval and some foreign consulates have spy networks, like Thyatis and Minrathad. Aasla has many organizations, mainly guilds and clerical orders. Shipwrights and other trades related to the shipbuilding industry belong to the Wind and Wave Collective. The Merchants Guild is known as the Grand Golden Harbour Guild. The Chromatic Crucible is the guild for alchemists. Potions of longevity are in high demand. There are many cobblers in the city, supplying a huge demand for fashionable footwear. Their guild is the Velvet Soul. Another important organization is the Guild of Delicate Design, for the city's architects. The Order of Alphatia is the largest clerical organization in the city. Its cathedral is located in the new city district, and it has numerous temples, chapels, and shrines throughout the city. Its clerics run the 7 hospitals in the Old Town district. They also maintain an abbey outside the city walls to tend to the graveyard district. The order provides free education to its clerics, spanning literacy, the arts, pacifism, magic, and the undead. Unlike most Alphatian aristocrats, clerics of this order cannot be of chaotic alignment. Their education in magic assists their intuition in saving against rods, staves, and wands at a +2 bonus. Aasla is the most sacred city of their immortal patron, and the bastion of their order's philosophy. The Order of Ra-Zud is the second largest clerical organization in the city. The order's cathedral is also located in the new town district. They have many temples, shrines, and chapels throughout the city, and an abbey outside the city to care for the graveyard. The order provides education that covers literacy, self-reliance, and the undead. The study of self-reliance teaches their clerics to take action and be more insightful. This confers a +1 bonus to initiative and a +1 to wisdom, up to a maximum of 18. Clerics of Ra-Zud can be of any alignment. The third largest clerical organization is the Order of Kor-Yis. The order's cathedral is in the new town district and it has many temples, shrines, and chapels throughout the city. It maintains an abbey outside the walls to tend to the graveyard district. Clerics of Kor-Yis must be lawful. The order educates its clerics in literacy, pacifism, wealth creation, and the undead. Clerics gain the ability to cast protection from evil once per day at first level, as a bonus spell. The order's pacifist beliefs are in line with the teachings of the immortal Alphatia and Myla Tendel. Arslan merchants are attracted to Kor-Yis's philosophy of prosperity through peace. Many wizards and members of the armed forces are generally not followers of this order, viewing it as weak. The Order of Kagyar the Artisan has a cathedral in the new town district, and temples, shrines, and chapels throughout the city. Clerics can be of any alignment, so chaotic clerics interested in the arts can turn to Kagyar instead of Alphatia. Their education consists of literacy, artisanship, the undead and magic resistance. Their clerics save against rods, staves, and wands at +1 until level 9. At that point this bonus is replaced by the mystic's resistance power, which grants half damage from spells and dragon breath. The Order of Asterius appeals to thieves and merchants who think Kor-Yis is a bit of a goody-goody. Clerics of Asterius can be of any alignment. The order has a cathedral in the new town district, and many temples, shrines, and chapels throughout the city. Clerics of Asterius are permitted to use daggers and move silently like thieves. They are educated in literacy, commerce, and the undead. Aasla is protected by a substantial military of Renaissance-level technology. 83% are human, 8% are Hin from Stout Fellow, 5% are Sheer Elves and 3% are Stout Fellow Dwarfs. The majority of the armed forces are light infantry wearing leather armor and shields, and wielding swords and spears. Magic user officers usually ride Pegasai. 4 controlled water elementals guard the harbor. The walls are protected by 191 ballistae, 52 light catapults and 33 heavy catapults. The navy consists of 19 small galleys, 12 large galleys, for war galleys, 19 small sailing ships, 12 large sailing ships, for troop transports and 12 submersibles. Rowers are convicts. The Sky Navy comprises 20 skyships. Aasla's citadel includes a military academy called the Art of War. The academy teaches war as an art form. He dance of death fighting style, resembles ritualistic, but deadly, ballet. Choreographed discipline, synchronized parades, and impeccably fitted uniforms and armor are hallmarks of the military training. The academy has grand masters of the normal sword, short sword, lance, spear, short bow, longbow, staff, and sling to teach students. Courses in artillery, horse riding and training, sapping, military tactics, bravery, danger sense, detect deception, laws of Aasla, alertness, blind shooting, quick draw, urban stealth, endurance and leadership are offered. Military ranks follow the Alphatian imperial standard. Divisions are led by a high general, being a 24th level magic user or a 16th level cleric. They are assisted by a deputy commander with the rank of general, being a 16th level magic user or cleric. Elite captains are 5th level fighters or Sheer Elves. Regular captains are 4th level fighters, magic users or Sheer Elves. Elite lieutenants are 4th level fighters or Sheer Elves, whilst regular lieutenants are third-level fighters, magic users, or sheer elves. Elite sergeants are third-level fighters or sheer elves, whilst regular sergeants are second-level fighters, magic users, or sheer elves. Both the sea and sky navies use the same imperial ranks. Officers tend to be spellcasters and therefore, aristocrats. Admirals can command fleets, squadrons, and individual ships. Each ship is commanded by an officer of captain rank or higher. The lieutenant commander is usually second in command on a ship and often fulfills the role of executive officer, handling all personnel and ship routine matters. Lieutenants often fill the roles of navigator, supply officer, and damage control officer, covering accounting, inventories, repairs, and maintenance. Midshipmen are junior officers in training, who must pass stringent exams once they have enough experience to progress to the rank of lieutenant. They are usually assigned as watch officers or gunnery officers. The most experienced cleric is usually the medical officer and spiritual officer. Non-commissioned officers can come from any class and are usually at least third level. Warrant officers usually hold positions, such as chief gunner, chief of the guard, and bosun. Petty officers cover the positions of navigator's mate, bosun's mate, gunner's mate, coxswain, and yeoman. Troops comprise boltmen who are magic users and elves armed with wands of lightning bolts, inherited from serving ancestors, gunners who man the artillery, light marines, heavy marines, and seamen or airmen. First-class troops are experienced personnel who have reached at least second level. Able-bodied troops have at least 1 year's experience and are considered competent. Dispel and Protection Wardens are magic users and elves with wands of dispel magic and protection from normal missiles, respectively. Apprentices have served for less than a year. There are 3 levels of laws that are in effect in the city. Imperial law, laws of the Kingdom of Haven, and local regulations. Imperial law defines the social classes and how people can move between them, including succession laws. It sets out imperial taxes and their collection. It prohibits the wearing of spider silk by non-nobles. It requires Grand Council members to be limited to 1,000 of the most powerful Alphatian magic users who are willing to serve. It requires the Emperor or Empress to be a human Alphatian magic user. Disputes between magic users are to be settled via supervised duels, to avoid a repeat of Alphax folly that led to the war that destroyed old Alphatia. Slaves must be registered at a declared value from the age of 12. On the continents of Alphatia and Belisaria, all monarchs must be spellcasters. Monarchs may conquer other kingdoms, but may rule only one kingdom, unless they are also the emperor or empress. Subdivision of a kingdom into 2 kingdoms requires imperial approval. The emperor or empress is automatically the monarch of Vertiloc. Worship of Alphax is illegal. Haven's laws are similar to other Alphatian kingdoms, except their punishments tend to be a bit more lenient in this more enlightened kingdom. Low justice applies to commoners and the more forgiving high justice applies to nobles. Crimes against nobles carry greater punishments than crimes against commoners. Punishment for theft or fraud increases in proportion to the value stolen. Willful destruction of art in Haven by a noble carries a fine to cover the court costs and the cost of restoring the destroyed art. If a commoner destroys art, the cost is 10 times the amount of the noble's fine. Punishments take the form of fines, lashes, confiscation of property, demotion of social class, temporary confiscation of spellbooks, permanent feeble-minding of intelligence-based casters, and death. Local regulations include fines for impoliteness in the Old Town District, and urinating or spitting in public. There are several municipal urinals and bathhouses, called Arslasians, throughout the city. Judicial proceedings are held in the city's imposing marble courthouse building. The accused is presumed innocent unless the evidence suggests otherwise. ESP is used in criminal cases, resulting in swift and accurate judgments on almost all occasions. By Mystaran standards, Aaslans are well educated in general. The city boasts the University of Aasla, renowned throughout the known world for its courses on astronomy and air magics. Myla Tendel is its most famous instructor, drawing students from far and wide. Other subjects offered include artisanry, alchemy, alternate magics, magical engineering, and planar geography. Annual tuition costs thousands of GP, which includes board and does not require chores to be undertaken by the student. Ariadne High is a world-class school of magic located in Aasla. It is particularly well-versed in teaching art-related spells to fabricate works, from beautiful statuettes to skyships. On this table, common spells are shown in white, whilst Alphatian spells are in gold. Tuition costs 100 GP per month and an additional 500 GP per month to board in this prestigious school. Children attending take 1 year to become first-level magic users. Aasla has 125 basic learning centers which cost 50 GP per month. There are 10 monasteries run by the clerical orders that offer free education for students who pledge to join the order. Other students pay from 50 GP per month for the most modest monastery, to 500 GP per month for the most prestigious monastery. For students unwilling to join a clerical order and unable to afford schooling, their parents try to teach them as best they can. Marriages occur, but they are not legally recognized in Alphatia. Men and women are considered equal. A lot of the entertainments in Aasla are targeted to the tastes of the commoners, with the nobles secretly enjoying them either in disguise or remotely via magic. Gambling is a favorite pastime of commoners, especially on games of dice, cards, and hardball. There is a hardball game every Flagger night in the arena. Commoners enjoy a night of pub crawling, with some 350 cheap taverns and 73 bawdy houses throughout the city. Wine and other beverages are consumed. Gambling occurs and music is enjoyed with some dancing. Music is performed by lower-class bands and orchestras. Songs are typically fast tempo or ballads, with harsh and sad moods. Many taverns have music halls with resident bands of great renown. Nobles enjoy creating and viewing fine arts and plays. They prefer classical music and ballroom dancing. All classes enjoy the daily duels held at the arena. A 60-foot diameter dual shield spell is cast around the duelists by 2 wizards of at least 18th level. The duel has a judge who is a wizard of at least 21st level, capable of casting a wish to bring the shield down if required. Entry costs from 10 GP to 1000 GP, depending on the duelists. There are only 1 or 2 huge duels per year. The rest mainly involve low-level wizards. Aasla has a strong trade-based economy, buttressed by cheap labor from servants and slaves, and spells to counter adverse environmental conditions. Imperial coins are accepted in Aasla, being the gold crown, the silver mirror and the copper judge. It is unknown if Aasla mints its own coins. Some possible coins are the gold tower, the silver palette and the copper dove. Throughout the city are 133 money changers, who will convert currency for a 15% fee and other valuables, like gems, for a 30% fee. There is a lot of anger about these high fees. Some speculate that they are high to recover some wealth from adventurers who convert their tax-free treasure to coins. There is a push to lower them to 5% and 10% respectively. The imperial income tax on all non-slaves is 15%, excluding adventuring income. This averages 9 SP per person per month. Kingdom taxes are in addition to the imperial tax, and probably range from 5% to 10% income tax. As a more enlightened kingdom, perhaps Haven's tax rate is 5%. Miscellaneous income from fines, port fees, confiscation and liquidation of criminals' assets, etc., equates to approximately 30% of tax income. As the empire directly taxes its citizens, no salt tax is payable to the empire. Cities, kingdoms, and the empire do not pay tithes. Churches make money from donations, selling holy water, healing potions, other magic items, casting spells, education fees, and tithes from clerics and paladins. As imperial law requires gentry, lords and ladies to maintain at least 10,000 GP in an Alphatian bank, it should come as no surprise that Aasla contains banks. The Imperial Vault, the Bank of Koryis, the Wizard's Lock and Kerethar Bank all maintain branches in the city. Kerethar Bank is not very popular in Aasla, however. The Tower of Mylatendal is the city's most famous sight. It is 60 foot in diameter, 10 stories tall, has 36,000 niches that are 10 foot tall, 5 foot wide, and 5 foot deep, with 15,000 holding a statuette in the external walls. 21,000 of these are empty. Note that these dimensions don't match. There is nowhere near enough tower wall to contain all these niches. Either the tower is much larger, or the number and/or size of the niches is much less. Statuettes are made by Myla Tendall, Queen Crindilia, and donations. Only statuettes deemed to be worthy by Myla Tendall are displayed. The statuettes are attached to their niches by a variant of the wizard lock spell. Visitors can tour her estate for free on permanent 4-foot diameter floating discs with rails that can fly anywhere in the estate, but not outside it. Myla Tendall is particularly interested in sculpting interesting characters if she meets them. Accommodation ranges from a choice of 270 sordid hostels for 1 GP per night, to 98 reputable inns ranging from 5 GP to 50 GP per night, and 10 exclusive guest houses at 500 GP per night. The city is serviced by 8 mills. Some are oxen-powered, the rest rely on the wind. The city library contains an impressive collection, including tomes from other planes. The city hall is an imposing marble-covered building with a belfry. The prison consists of a bastion tower and multi-level dungeon. Humans, demi-humans, and certain humanoids arrested for alleged crimes are held here until they are sentenced. As imprisonment is not a punishment used in Alphatia, the prison does not get overpopulated. It is rumored that powerful evil beings are held in the lowest dungeon levels. Aasla has 57 magic shops, as one would expect in a huge Alphatian city. There is a secret magical gate from the military district to the northern end of Regent's Pass on the Alphen Peninsula in Norwold. The Alphatians established this to be able to readily deploy troops to Norwold. For a city of 400,000 inhabitants, we unfortunately only know a few. As previously mentioned, Myla Tendall is the city's most famous resident. A 36th level magic user, who instructs at the University of Aasla and started on the path of the Paragon a century ago. Queen Crindilia of Haven does not reside in the city, however she frequently visits and presents her friend Myla Tendall with new statuettes for her tower. Vasilian is a barber and resident of Aasla. Toriath the Black may or may not have been a resident. His brigandry impacted Arslan merchants. He is currently on a Yanavay island that he renamed after himself, looking for a way to get back to civilization. As mentioned earlier, Eiklin, the current master of the University of Air Magics in Featherfall, was once a resident of Aasla. Boldazar is a resident of Aasla, aged somewhere between 15 and 589 years old. Boldazar is a magic user of somewhere between 1st and 20th level, serving in the Imperial military. Lord Krazux is a 31st level magic user based in Aasla. He is a high general in the Imperial Army. Aasla is roughly 1,584 miles east of Thyatis. Each 800 miles equates to approximately 1 hour. So Aasla is approximately 2 hours ahead of the time in Thyatis city. Aasla can be used in a variety of ways for a campaign. It could be the base city for starting characters, both Alphatian and foreign, due to the large foreign quarter. Alternatively, it could be used as a staging area for higher-level characters who started adventuring elsewhere. Beginning characters should start with a higher-level tutor for training and possible adventure hooks. For clerics, this will be a priest of their order. For thieves, this will be their more experienced business partner. Basic adventures should allow the characters to accumulate XP and wealth, and to meet low-level recurring NPCs. Typical adventures could involve sneaking into a rival of the player's sponsor, to gather information and/or an item. Establishing recurring rivals of the party could be initiated. The rivals gain power in line with the party. Alphax cultists could make interesting rivals and an ultimate campaign evil. They are notorious for murdering through backstabbing, and their goal is to end the Alphatian civilization, preferably through mass destruction. The Thyacian Empire also desires the demise of the Alphatian Empire. Thyacian agents operate out of the foreign quarter, gaining intelligence and furthering their imperial goals at the expense of Alphatia. Thyatis uses agents of common Alphatian ancestry, mainly from the Isle of Dawn, so the player characters will not necessarily suspect the Thyacians at first. Expert-level characters could start exploring the lands and seas around their Aasla base. They could be hired as guards to escort a caravan to Sundsvall. This would take them through the towns of Lersia, Fifetun, Saport, and Sada. Possible antagonists could include rival merchants working with bandits. Perhaps the meat of the adventure could occur on the trail through the Aasla Spur Mountains, which we shall now briefly cover. The Aasla Spur Mountains are located in central Haven, approximately 96 miles northeast of Aasla. They cover 8,000 square miles and are surrounded by foothills known as the Rainbow Mounds in the west, the Verve Hills in the east and Panache Rises in the south. The Bone River has its source in the southern part of the spur, before flowing through the haunted marshes into the Aaslan Gulf. The trail passes 32 miles through the spur before ending in the relative safety of Fifeton. It is not known what creatures inhabit the spur, but we are told that any are possible due to escaped conjurations of Alphatian wizards. The caravan could be attacked by local creatures who lair in caves nearby. Carnelian is mined in the southeast of the spur, which mainly consists of metamorphized limestone. Expert-level characters can also be introduced to waterborne adventures. Again, they could be hired by a merchant, this time to help protect their cargo ship on a voyage through the Aaslan Gulf, the eastern and western seas of Dawn, and perhaps as far as the Sea of Dread. Alternately, it could go over the Alphatian Sea to Norwold. Pirates, sea creatures, flying creatures, and inclement weather would all provide challenges on the voyage. Many ports could be visited, leading to adventures there in different cultures. Now let's cover the Aaslan Gulf, which is located in southwestern Alphatia. The gulf flows into the eastern Sea of Dawn to the southwest. It is bounded by the kingdoms of Haven to the north, Greenspur to the south, Thranduil to the east, Vertalock to the northeast and Arroganza to the southeast. The haunted marshes lie on its northeastern shore. The main cities on the gulf are Ulcer and Egret, and naval patrols from these cities serve to protect Alphatia's interests in the gulf. The towns of Palverton, Afas, Gooftier, Ashipun, Limmy, Avrads, and Kern are also located on the gulf's shores. Two major rivers flow into the gulf, the Alphas, which is navigable to Adiac, and the Green Lake, which is navigable to Verberton, although movement is halved through the Haunted Marshes section. The Wrath of the Immortals campaign contains an event in the winter of AY 2003 that sees the city of Aasla destroyed by fire. Erewhoni elf fugitives and possibly Glantrian adventurers have escaped imprisonment in Soonsval and travelled to Aasla. Their goal is to steal a skyship and fly back to Glantry, as advised by some Alphatian sympathizers. To assist their escape, they set fire to other skyships in the port. The fire naturally grows into a firestorm that burns the city, destroying the buildings and ships and killing half the population. This event was designed to be the Pearl Harbor moment to trigger isolationist Alphatia's entry into the war. Arslan-based player characters may get an opportunity to save their city by noticing the Glantrians. Perhaps they may give the Glantrians a chance to tell their side of the story and the PCs then help them escape. However, we are told that if the Glantrians don't start the firestorm, Alphax will. This will then require the PCs to relocate. Most of the populace heads to Dovir. The PCs could help with this. PCs could then assist rebuilding the city, however with war declared, they will not get much assistance. Alternatively, you may allow the PCs to save the city from burning, perhaps by learning of Alphax's intention from a cultist and then relaying a warning to the Immortals through a friendly clerical order. The haunted marshes to the east of Aasla provide another possible adventuring location. Many a depressed artist has aimlessly wandered off into the marshes, never to be seen again. The PCs could be asked to investigate the disappearance of such an artist, leading to many undead encounters. Perhaps the source of the haunted marshes' woes could be a powerful undead liege, which may or may not be connected with the cult of Alphax. By now the characters may have come to the attention of lords and ladies within Aasla, and even Queen Crindilia of Haven herself. Once magic users reach 11th level, they may build a tower and attract apprentices. Clerics may be sanctioned by their order to build a church, perhaps in an area where there are few followers. Other characters may purchase estates, but to have their own strongholds, they would need to leave Aasla. For companion adventures, the characters could leave Aasla for Norwold, where the characters could each found their own type of appropriate stronghold. Adventures to other worlds and the inner planes could be undertaken at companion levels. Companion adventures in Aasla could revolve around politics. Spy networks could be traced to other Alphatian kingdoms and/or foreign powers. Diplomacy and surgical strikes could be required to avoid all-out wars. Master's level adventures could involve exploring the astral and outer planes. Perhaps they represent the Kingdom of Haven as an advocate of peace to prevent a global conflict. Eventually, characters should learn about the paths to immortality. The path of the polymath gives non-spellcasters the chance to experience the aristocratic life. Kagyar the artisan would be a likely sponsor for a candidate from Aasla on this path. The path of the epic hero could suit Arslan PCs, with the entropic artifact to be destroyed, possibly being one of Alphac's creation. Koryis or Asterius could be likely sponsors. There are many potential sponsors for characters from Aasla on the path of the Paragon. Alphatia, Razud, Palatarkan, Irindel and Zirchorf are part of the Alphatian pantheon. However, the tasks involved would need to be undertaken away from Aasla, due to fierce competition. The Alphatian pantheon lacks immortals from the sphere of time. Additionally, the path of the dynast requires the applicant to create a new realm. For these reasons, the path of the dynast is probably the least popular way to immortality for Arslans. Aasla is fairly disease-free. Although purulent cataract disease occurs in southern Alphatia during drought years, these rarely occur, as the Grand Council is usually able to muster enough spellcasters to counter droughts. Although Alphatia was the epicenter of lycanthropy spreading in Mystara, it has been more or less been contained by the Center for Disease Control. Other diseases may be caused by evil clerics. With 7 hospitals, Aasla is well equipped to deal with disease. This concludes our gazeteer-style look at the known world's 4th largest city, Aasla, the beating heart of Haven. Plus the Aasla Spur Mountains and the Arslan Gulf.